Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Tom Stevens. I'm with the University of Missouri in St. Louis in the College of Education. I've created this presentation to help you be successful in completing the MOPTA. This video has 4 parts. The first part is a review of tasks 2 and 3, providing you with information that you should know before you begin the responses and uploading the artifacts. The next section is what I call success tips. These are 5 secrets that you can use that will help you become successful in completing any of the MOPTA tasks. You will find that they are invaluable. The next part of the video has to do with your next steps. Now these are important steps for you to follow immediately so that you not only can complete the MOPTA on time, but also to complete it successfully. The last part of the video has to do with things that you should be on the lookout for. At a later date, I'm going to provide you with videos regarding Task 3 and Task 4. In addition to the videos, I will also provide supplemental materials that you can download from this website that will help you become successful in completing both of those tasks. Alright, let's get started with the rest of the video. On this slide you will see the MOPTA submission dates. Now this should be familiar to you. We don't have to worry about Task 1 because you've already completed that. Look at Task 2 and Task 3 though. Notice they're both due on March the 28th. Now there's 2 things to consider here. The first thing is that students typically upload Task 2 and then at a later date Task 3, but never both tasks on the same day. The next consideration is important, so please remember it. Never, and I mean never, wait until the due date to submit a task. Always submit a few days before that task is due. If you do this, you will avoid MOPTA technical problems that are quite common on the dates that tasks are due. On the next slide, I'm going to propose an alternative MOPTA submission schedule for tasks 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's take a look at it. Okay, here's the revised schedule that I want you to follow for submitting tasks 2, 3, and 4. Let's take a look at it. I want you to begin on February the 17th. If you take February the 17th to March the 28th, that's about 40 days. Now I subtracted 3 days from that number to build in some flexibility to this schedule. But what I want you to do is to complete task 2 on Sunday, March the 4th. That'll give you 16 days. And then task 3 on Sunday, March the 25th. The reason there's more time for task 3 is because it's more complex than task 2. Then as you can see, I want you to begin task 4 on March the 26th and complete it on April the 20th, not May the 2nd. This will give you 32 days to complete task 4. That's ample time. Now I want you to be earnest in following this timeline. If you follow this schedule and use the materials that I'm providing you and follow the instructions, you'll not only complete the MOPTA on time, you will complete it successfully. It's vital that you keep to this schedule. Now this schedule is available for download on the website, and I encourage you to do that and post it as soon as this video is over. Yes, this sure is a good question. You've uploaded task 1. Okay, now what? Well, this video is designed to help you complete task 2. While you're working on task 2, I'm going to be creating a video for task 3 and task 4. I'm also going to be gathering support materials for both of those tasks. When they're available, I'll upload them and I'll let you know. For now, you concentrate on task 2. Here's something important to remember about task 2. If you're seeking elementary, early childhood, or special education certification, task 2 has to be about literacy or reading. Your responses, your artifacts, all have to relate to that content area. Now, if you're secondary or middle school seeking certification in any content area, you can disregard this. But if you're elementary, early childhood, or special education, your task 2 has got to be about literacy. And if it's not, you'll fail task 2. Okay, at this point you're probably asking, okay, what do you mean about literacy? The place to begin this explanation is with the 6 artifacts. Now these are the same 6 artifacts required for task 2 no matter what your content area is. Let's begin by talking about the baseline data document. That's simply an Excel file, and what you will do with this Excel file is that you will have a list of students, and then you'll have a list of assessment grades. Now, these assessments naturally are going to be the result of an assessment that these students took in your class. If you're elementary or early childhood or special education, the grades will be about literacy. For example, comprehension. If you're secondary or middle school, the assessment can be about any content area. Remember, all it is a simple Excel file listing students and scores. Remember, the students' names are not included. Like I said, student A or student B. Now, the selected assessment can be any quiz, any test, any exit ticket, any assessment that you've given in your class. If you're secondary, if you're middle school, the assessment can be about any content area. But if you're elementary or early childhood or special education, the assessment has to be about reading or literacy. For example, a reading comprehension test. Now, the assessment has to be related to the Excel file. In other words, the grades that you put in the Excel file are from that assessment. The third artifact is also really something that's very simple. It's a rubric or a scoring guide that you used for the previous assessment. Now, are you starting to see a trend here? You give an assessment and you create an Excel file with the grades in it, and then you also provide a scoring guide that you used for that assessment. And then as you discuss these in your responses, they'll all be connected. So if you're elementary, the connection will be about literacy. If you're secondary or middle school, the content can be about anything. Now, as we discuss the fourth artifact, the graphic representation, you probably already know what I'm going to say. That artifact is simply an illustration that shows the results of the assessment that you gave, those scores that's in the data file. That's all you have to do is turn those into some kind of a graphic. Now, you can do this in Excel, or there's other software programs that will take data and turn it into some kind of graphic illustration, but that's all you have to do. The next two artifacts are different. That's why I've got two red circles there. Before we talk about them, let's make sure we understand what a focus student is. And let's begin with your lesson plan, because your lesson plan should have a component that involves differentiation, something that you do different to meet the needs of all of the students in your class. Quite often, this involves special education students who are in your class, where you have to modify the lesson because of their IEP. A focus student doesn't have to be a special education student. It can be any student in your class that requires some kind of change in the lesson to accommodate his or her learning style. Maybe you modify the lesson for a student who has interests in a particular area of the lesson. Okay, I think you got the idea. Now let's relate this to task 2. These two artifacts then are the above assessments completed by these two focus students, and the assessments reflect changes made as a result of their learning needs. All you have to do is take your cell phone and take a picture of them and use that file for these two artifacts. Here are my final comments about this slide. Not all of task 2 is going to be a discussion about literacy. So before you begin this task, you should read the prompts and be prepared to discuss literacy when it's applicable. That will also guide you into selecting the appropriate artifacts. If you are middle school or high school, you can discuss any content area and select artifacts from any content area. Also, there are comments about representative pages, but don't be confused. All of these artifacts are only one page in length. If you get confused, let me know. I have some sample Task 2 artifacts I can provide you. Now let's talk about the next slide.